Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to Dr. K's Academy. This is the second video of the series Python from beginning to advanced level. In this video you will learn how to clean, preprocess and analyze your data using Python. The video is simple and easy, so if you haven't worked on Python before, still you can understand and work on your own data if you follow along. So let's get started. First of all, we will upload our dataset into the Google Colab. Okay, our dataset is now uploaded. Let's import Pandas library to read our CSV file. We use Pandas for data preprocessing and data analysis. We can manipulate our data using Pandas library. So we will import Pandas library. After importing the Pandas library, now let's read our CSV file. We use read CSV for reading the CSV file. If our file is Excel, then we will write read Excel to read it. Okay, our file is now imported into the environment. Now let's read it. This is our table, and we can print the shape of our table to know how many columns and rows our data have. Okay, our table have 125 rows and 13 columns. We can also print the name of the columns in our data set. So these are the names of columns. Now let's have a look at the first few rows of our data set. We will use df.head to print the first 10 rows of our column. We can change it. This is super useful to get a quick look at the data structure, because we will have the first 5 rows or 6 rows. This will provide the name of column and the structure of our data. We can also print the last few rows of our column with df.tail to see the last few data points. Next up, let's print all the important information about our data set using df.info. This will provide what is the type of our data. It is data frame, and our file have 125 rows. The index is 0 to 124. There are 13 columns, and this provides the column names, the null count, and the data types. Object means text. The integer is numbers, and float means decimal points. So it will provide all the necessary information about your data set. Now, if you want to know the statistical summary of your data set, you will use df.describe to print all the statistical summary. This includes the count, mean, standard deviation for all numerical columns. You can also specify a single column to focus on. For example, let's say you want to describe the column breakfast. You will use breakfast.describe to print all the statistical summary of this column. Now, if you are only interested in a specific statistic like minimum, maximum, and count, you can print it. We will use df breakfast.count to print the number of rows in the column. There are only 125 rows in this column. You can use maximum to print the maximum value in this column. It is 2. You can also use minimum to print the minimum value. These are handy when you just need one specific value instead of the entire summary. It is important to identify any null value in our dataset. Null values indicate any missing or incomplete value in our data. We will use this function for printing the null values. Okay, now let's see. But this only provides a sea of true and false. True means if this value is null, and false means if this is not null. So it doesn't provide a very handy information to us. So we will use that sum to print the total number of null values in the single column. Okay, this provides GPA have only two null values, gender don't have any null value. Similarly, breakfast column don't have any null value. Exercise have 13 null values, and the other you can see the numbers. Now the GPA column of our dataset is incorrectly formatted. It is in object form, mean in text form, and GPA is always in decimals. So we will convert it into a float value by using the code df GPA dot type float. Okay, now our GPA column is converted into a float. See, it is correctly converted. By using df GPA.data types, we can see that this is now a float value. If you want to fill the null values with some other value in your dataset, you will use that fill any with method df.gpa.mean to fill it with the mean value of the GPA column. With this, you can also use some other values like mode or maximum, minimum, or any other value. You can fill it. Okay, now let's see the null values, the sum of the null values in our data frame to see it is correctly filled with the mean value. Okay, there are only 0 values in the GPA column. So it is correctly filled with the mean value of the GPA column. Okay, now if you want to change the name of the column in your data set, for example, the coffee column name is incorrectly written, you can change it with the method dot rename. Okay, columns is equal to coffee. We use dictionary format for it. For example, the key value coffee is the key, and the correct name is value, and place is equal to true. Now it will change the name of the column, df.column, to see whether it is changed or not. Okay, the coffee column is correctly renamed. The last step we will cover in this video is to drop the null values from our dataset. We use .drop any method to drop the null values, all the rows having null values. If you want to delete all the rows having null values, you will use x is equal to 0, and if you want to drop the columns having null values, you will use x is equal to 1. Now let's check with null.sum to whether all the null values are deleted or not. Okay, you can see none of the columns have a null value. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you have any question, you can ask it in the comment section. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe the channel and stay tuned for the next tutorial.